Dear students, now we are going to start with cell membrane and cell wall. You know that in the plants cell wall is present, but in the animals cell wall is absent, only cell membrane is present. And we are going to discuss the cell membrane of the eukaryotic cell. Now, cell membrane. Every living cell is covered by a thin, elastic, transparent, semi-permeable, regenerative membrane. What have I told to you? Thin, elastic, transparent, semi-permeable and regenerative membrane, which is called as a cell membrane. We call cell membrane as a plasma membrane or plasma lemma. You can note down what are the another names of cell membrane. As I have told to you that it is a semi-permeable. What does it mean? That it allows only the selective things to enter, and plasma membrane separates the internal environment of the cell from the external environment. Fine. So now you can see the structure of the cell membrane. What is this? You know that you can see over here lipid bilayer. You can see over here blue one is the lipid bilayer. Fine. And you can see the tails in the black color, and there are some of the proteins. You can see over here one is written as an integral protein. So these are the basic things which you must know, that this is the human RBC showing a cell membrane which is composed of lipid bilayer. Two layers are there, and proteins and carbohydrate. And lipids mainly are phosphoglyceride, which have outer polar head, and inside it has a hydrophobic tail. See, what is this? We call polar head as a hydrophilic, and inner one is hydrophobic, means it is not soluble in water. Okay, that is called as a polar head, polar hydrophilic end, and non-polar hydrophobic end. So non-polar tail of saturated hydrocarbons is protected from the aqueous environment. It is not in the aqueous environment, it is protected. Why? Because it is non-polar. So polar hydrophilic is water loving, and it faces towards the outer side of the cell membrane so as to interact with the aqueous environment on both the sides. Whereas non-polar hydrophobic ends, these are facing each other. That occurs towards the center of the cell membrane. You can see very well in this diagram. Okay. So you can see over here, this is the nice diagram to be drawn in your copies even. The proportion of lipid molecule and protein molecule varies of different cells. In human RBC's membrane, 52% is the protein and 40% is the lipid. As I have already told to you, there are integral protein and peripheral protein. Fine. You can see over here the carrier proteins, channel proteins, these are the integral protein. And those which don't communicate on both the sides, they are called as a peripheral proteins. Along with this, cholesterol is there, glycoproteins are there. Okay, so you can see in the diagram, at the bottom it has a polar and non-polar parts. Now, what are the functions of integral protein and peripheral protein? Integral proteins, they are partially or totally buried in a membrane. Fine. They have stronger association and bound firmly, very tightly with the membrane. These proteins are buried partially or totally in the phospholipid bilayer. What have I told to you? Phospholipid bilayer. Then peripheral proteins, they are also called as extrinsic proteins. They are on the outer sides only, na? So integral proteins are intrinsic proteins and peripheral proteins are extrinsic. So they have a weaker association and are bound to lipids of membrane by the electrostatic interaction. Okay. Now who proposed this? This is a fluid mosaic model, and this fluid mosaic model was proposed by Singer and Nicholson. Who proposed this? This is proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. According to this, the quasi-fluid, this is a new word for you. I will be explaining you what is this. Nature of lipids enables the lateral movements of the proteins within the overall bilayer. Lateral means side to side. This ability to move within the membrane is measured as a fluidity. Okay, means what does it means? That the proteins which are there in the lipid bilayer, that shows a lateral movements, and because of the lateral movements the things can go in and out. So this is the ability of the protein to move within the membrane, that indicates, as they are moving within the membrane, that indicates the fluidity of the lipid layer. Because of their movement, it is called as a quasi fluid. This is the nature of the lipid. Okay, so here proteins are responsible for their movement that contributes the fluidity to the lipid part. So fluid nature of the membrane is important from the point of interaction of the molecules within the membrane. It plays a very important role in forming intercellular junctions. What are intercellular junctions? The junctions between the cells. It plays a very important role in secretion, transfer of the things, in the cell division, and in endocytosis, taking the thing in or out. So this diagram is very important. You should practice this diagram twice in your copy. So it has a glycolipid, it has a glycoproteins, then it has a peripheral proteins, it has an integral protein, it has cholesterol. So now, as I have told to you, you can see the proteins now over here. These protein channels are there. Fine, these protein channels can move up and down, and because of that they show a quasi fluid. Outside is the extracellular space and inside is the intracellular space. So two type of movements can occurs over here. That is the active transport and the passive transport. Fine. Now you can see what is there. You can see how the molecules are moving in and out. You can see the arrow at the first protein channel. The things are going in, and that are the carrier proteins which are bringing the things in. They take the thing in. You can see over here. Wait. You can see this thing is getting in. Now it has taken the thing in. Now it has thrown inside the intracellular space. So this is the way how they move, and that is called as a lateral movement. And because of the lateral movement, what is it called as a quasi-fluid movement. Now I was discussing about the passive and active transport. So in one there is a simple diffusion, that is the things are moving in and out without the involvement of energy, but in other there is a involvement of energy. Okay, so this is a passive transport. Okay, and here is the active transport. The diagram is very nicely given. Simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion means particular things are going on and out according to the shape of the proteins. That is not involving any ATP, not involving any energy. That is why it is called as a passive transport, and which involves the thing to enter with the utilization of energy. That is called as a active transport. Fine. So movement of the molecules across the membrane along the concentration gradient. There are two words which you will be going through repeatedly. That is along the concentration gradient and against the concentration gradient. Okay, in one you are going to write along, and in second you are going to write against. See, what is along? Means the things are moving from higher concentration to lower concentration without the expenditure of energy. And against the concentration means the things are not moving from higher to lower, rather the things are moving from lower concentration to higher. As the things are moving from lower concentration to higher, or sometimes there is a need, even though the concentration may be more inside the cell, but cell needs more amount of the particles. So at that time it is against the concentration. So against the concentration means utilization of energy, and that is the active transport. So passive transport involves simple diffusion, that is the movement of the solutes across the membrane, means there is no barrier. Fine. So along the concentration, like example is gases and small molecules. And in the osmosis, the water molecules pass through the membrane from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. Now there is a new word for you, that is called as a facilitated diffusion. See, in this diagram you can see that in this the molecules are transported along the concentration gradient with the help of ion channels or permeases enzyme. Rather, even though the energy is not needed, but there are specific ion channels through which the things are moving in and out. So polar molecules cannot pass through non-polar lipid bilayer. You know very well. So how they are going to get inside? So they require a carrier protein. So that carrier proteins are responsible for taking the polar things inside. That is called as a facilitated diffusion. Now, what is active transport? Movement of the molecules across the membrane. See what has came now? Against the concentration gradient. That is from the lower to the higher concentration. So with the expenditure of energy, ATP is utilized. It occurs in few ions and molecules. Example is the sodium ion, potassium ion. So these things are moving in against the concentration. So in this case, polar molecules requires a carrier protein of the membrane to facilitate their transport across the membrane, because they cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer. Because of the non-polar lipid bilayer, these things are occurring. So what is the difference between active and passive? Active in this energy is required and passive energy is not required. Active is a rapid process, passive is a slower process. Active is occurring against the concentration gradient. Passive is occurring along the concentration gradient. And active is highly selective for the things, and passive is not selective for the particular things. Is it clear? So these are the basic differences between the active transport and the passive transport. I hope the things are clear to you. So cell membrane is selective permeable, semi-permeable, which allows selected substances to pass in. It protects the cell from injury, and it has carrier proteins for the active transport, and they have various enzymes on their surface which are responsible for various activities.